House Republican leaders are calling on the Senate to take up their budget resolution that would lock in Trump's 2017 tax cuts. Joining us now to discuss this and more is Executive Vice President of the National Taxpayers Union, Brandon Arnold. Good morning to you, sir.
Morning, Jen.
So making Trump's 2017 tax cuts permanent has been really a priority, as we know, for the GOP. So tell us what's at stake here and why they need to do it soon.
Yeah, the stakes are enormous here. If we don't renew these tax cuts, the average family of four making about $80,000 a year could see a tax hike of about $1,700 at the beginning of next year. That would be devastating at any time, but particularly when people are really struggling to pay their bills, to pay their mortgages, and so forth. So we need to lock these in. That will help counteract a lot of the economic uncertainty that has taken place, due in part to tariffs and other policies. That will provide a shot in the arm if we can make these tax cuts permanent, get the economy going back where it needs to be.
Yeah, as you said, this is all to prevent that $4 trillion tax hike on American families. Why, Brandon, is a single big, beautiful bill the best way to do this, do you think?
Well, if you look at the margins in the House and the Senate, but particularly in the House of Representatives, they're razor thin. And while you'd like to think that Republicans would be walking lockstep on some of these policies, that's not the case. You have members pulling in different directions. Some want to see much larger spending reductions and larger tax increases, and some want to go a little bit smaller. So in order to keep the Republican Party together, it's really important to have a unified front here to incorporate all of these good policies here, spending cuts, energy production, and of course the tax policies that we need to lock in and make permanent.
What other benefits would this bill provide?
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff in here. It includes a lot of the president's priorities, energy production being a huge one. That's one way that we really need to tackle inflation, making the cost of energy doesn't just drive down those utility bills. Those products on the shelves at the store that you go by, oftentimes they're carried from place to place by vehicles that are using gasoline. So you reduce the price of gasoline, you reduce the price of energy, you reduce the price of virtually everything in this country. It also contains provisions related to border security, national defense. It's a pretty comprehensive piece of legislation.
Yeah, and back to energy, it's also kind of a national security issue as well, because it will make us energy independent, which we were in the first Trump administration. Are GOP lawmakers, do you think, going to pass this agenda soon? It seems like a no-brainer to get this passed. Why do you think it hasn't been passed so far? What's the holdup?
Yeah, there's a lot of differences of opinion procedurally, policy-wise, and what we're seeing right now is hopefully the Senate is starting to move their blueprint. That could happen as early as next week, according to the Senate Majority Leader's office. I spoke to them just yesterday, and it does look like they are moving closer and closer to bringing a budget to the floor that unlocks this process that we can use for taxes, for energy, for spending reductions, and so forth. So hopefully the Senate is finally going to get there, and we can start getting this process going in earnest very, very soon. All
right. Executive Vice President of the National Taxpayers Union, Brandon Arnold, thank you for joining us.